Hey everyone, welcome back to the Vet Scholar. Today we're not diving into any specific academic topics, but rather something a bit more practical: how to survive and thrive in vet school. These are the top 5 tips that personally helped me make it through those tough years of vet school and a neurology residency, and I hope they help you too. Let's get started. First up, repetition. Now you've probably heard the saying, practice makes perfect. But research actually shows it goes deeper than that. According to educational psychology, we need to engage with information about 5 to 7 times for it to really stick in our long-term memory. But here's the catch. It's not just about passive repetition. It's about actively interacting with the material over time. So why does repetition work? Well, every time we revisit information, we strengthen the neural pathways connected to it. More exposure equals stronger memory. Plus, spacing out these reviews over time boosts retention even more. It's called spaced repetition. And if you can connect the material emotionally or make it stand out in some way, your brain remembers it even better. So don't just read your notes, quiz yourself, teach a friend, or even try turning it into a story. As bad as this sounds, if I was yelled at by my faculty for not knowing something, I would never forget the fact thereafter. The more ways you engage, the better. The second tip is to apply what you learn to real-life scenarios. Everything you learn in vet school will eventually make its way to the clinic floor. Trust me, during those clinical years, I noticed that students who had previous hands-on experience, whether they worked as kennel hands, veterinary nurses, or volunteered, tended to perform better. That's because real-world applications reinforce theoretical knowledge. In fact, many vet schools are now transitioning from traditional lecture formats to case-based or scenario-based learning for this very reason. So if you have the chance to get hands-on experience, take it. The more you can see how things work in practice, the easier it becomes to understand the theory. Tip number 3, get your sleep and eat well. This one seems obvious, but it's often the first thing students neglect. According to a 2019 study by Napper, veterinary students generally have poor sleep quality and excessive daytime sleepiness. That's not good news because sleep is directly tied to memory retention, motor coordination, and cognitive processing. Not sleeping or getting enough sleep can lower your learning abilities by as much as 40%. When you're sleep deprived, your brain struggles to absorb and retain information. This is especially important during those intense study sessions and exams. So create a sleep routine and stick to it. And yes, your diet matters too. Fueling your body with the right nutrients will keep your brain sharp and your energy levels up. Like one of my professors once told me, vet school is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to pace yourself. We've all heard this one before. And as mundane and boring as it sounds, we need time management. I'll admit this was something I struggled with a lot in vet school. But learning how to manage your time effectively can be a game changer. Using a calendar or planner was a game changer for me. Here's what worked for me. Breaking my time into blocks for studying, resting, exercising, and personal hobbies. It's all about balance. During exam season, you'll probably need to shift more time towards studying, but during regular semesters, having a healthy balance between all these areas is crucial. Too much studying can lead to burnout, while too much leisure time can impact your grades. Finding that balance is key. Finally, tip number 5. Understand your learning style. There are so many different ways to absorb information, and everyone learns differently. Neil Fleming's VARK model breaks it down into 4 styles: visual, auditory, reading/writing, and kinesthetic. For me, I found that I'm a mix of visual and writing-based learning. By the time I graduated, I had stacks of notebooks full of rewritten lectures and sketches. That worked for me. But maybe you're more of an auditory learner, and listening to lecture recordings or creating your own audio notes might be more effective. The point is, figure out what works best for you and lean into it. Not every lecturer will cater to your style, so take the initiative to adapt your study habits. So there you have it, my top 5 tips for getting through vet school and residency. Remember, everyone's journey is different, but hopefully these tips give you some ideas to make your own path a little easier. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss any future videos. And if you've got any tips of your own or questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching The Vet Scholar, and I'll see you in the next one.